joined us on our broadcast this afternoon. We have something very special for you. We would like to introduce to you that do not know him and present to you for his followers on YouTube and other video formats. Sir Walter Jones will be sharing a financial session on how to prosper in the kingdom of God. We're just going to bow our heads for a moment and have a word of prayer. Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you for your grace and mercy on us and your blessing and your life that you've given us and how you want us to prosper. We ask you to bless us as we consider teachings of who you have gifted with these words of wisdom. We ask you, Lord, to bless him as he shares these words. We give you thanks for it. In Jesus' name, amen. Sir Walter Jones.
Thank you, Elder Mark, and the wonderful people at Ebenezer. We are here in a wonderful town called New Haven, I believe it is, CT. And it is such a beautiful town when you travel through the eastern territory of the United States. It's so beautiful here. And I hear it gets even more beautiful when the fall comes. So I'll be back for some good old-fashioned Yale or kale soup. Yeah, that is. Kale soup. I never had kale, but it was pretty good. Today I want to talk about finances, generational wealth. And a lot of times what we do is we get so caught up in the aspect of numbers. And the average African-American, who is mostly my audience, will say that they're bad with math. You know, a lot of us didn't do that great with math. Although Benjamin Banneker was a mathematician. And there were a lot of African Americans that in American history who gave us the science and the technology that we have today is because of those of you who said the average black person not good with math. That's not true, because much of our technology was invented by a lot of your cousins and your relatives and your forefathers, all right? Finance is not that difficult if we focus on the foundation, or it's not a one-size-fits-all. It is really based off of what you require in your home, right? So on one side of the board, I'm going to bring up the finance as far as it pertains to maybe retirement, if you're interested into the stock market, and other little investment plans and what have you. We'll talk about that on the other end. This end here, I think I want to talk about promotion. My average listener or watcher, and those who watch the Ebenezer hour on Sunday mornings, you are believers in Jesus Christ, and you may not be a member of this church, but you are interested in how you could possibly get your church recognized or noticed, or how you can get more people to watch the services and eventually be able to donate to the services so that you could do things for your church, do some community work, do some evangelistic work, ministry, building funds, what have you, and equipment that you can purchase so that you could stream like we are today. Social media is the number one technology that you want to focus on, because the average person wake up and they check two things. They'll check their email and they'll check their Facebook or Instagram, right? Outside of those two, you may check LinkedIn and you may check YouTube, but typically it's email and Facebook and Instagram, not in any particular order. When I wake up, I go right to my email. I'm not really concerned about Facebook. I have to take a shower first, because if I turn on Facebook, it's going to be a hot-bedded topic that's just going to mess up my whole day. So I go to the email first and look at what's going on there. Okay, so with that being said, the average person goes to email, but let's talk about the top three maybe. Okay, so we have Facebook, of course, and then we have Instagram, we have YouTube. Okay, these are the ones that we can focus on. All right, let me know if there's a glare there. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Of course, you got LinkedIn. Okay? All right. Now, as far as Facebook is concerned, this is being shown on Facebook through Ebenezer Church. And if you may notice that you're watching it from the Facebook business account, okay? That's where we're streaming. Most of you who are on Facebook have a personal profile. So you either, let me get something here, right? You either have a personal account or you have the business, okay? All right? Back in the day when Facebook came on the scene, they actually called it a fan page, is what it used to be called. Now it's just called a page. But it still is confusing to people because to say page, people still will go to the personal page. So the Sir Walter Jones Show is not, it is my business page or the fan page, but Walter Jones is my personal page. I didn't want them both to say Sir Walter Jones because it would confuse the people. When you go to YouTube, then it's Sir Walter Jones. When you go to Instagram, it's Sir Walter J. You understand what I'm saying? LinkedIn, I think it's Sir Walter J as well. So I changed the names to decipher where you can find me to make it easier for my listeners. And it depends on what I want them to do. All right? So if your church is on Facebook, you need to have a business page. You need to have it. Now, with that business page, then you need to bring people to that page as clever as possible. So just airing your services on Facebook is not enough. You're trying to sell a secret, all right? Just saying you're on the Facebook doesn't really do anything for you. So what do you need to do? You need to consider Facebook ads. You need to consider that, all right? Now, like, ads, I got to pay for ads, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, you eat every day, and some of you will spend $20 a day eating outside of your house, all right? I know I used to do that when I worked 9 to 5. I would go to Popeyes and Wendy's and Burger King and all this stuff every day. Not only was I feeding myself, but I was also treating my friends to lunch. And I would spend $10, $15, sometimes $20 for breakfast and lunch, because I worked the first shift, so it was 5 in the morning, all right? So I was spending that money. Well, today, you could utilize that kind of resource by purchasing ads. Now, how much are ads? Ads are not that expensive at all. They're actually, you could do a $5 a day ad. You could do a $10 a day ad, okay? Does it add up? Well, sure. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, all right? But you're a church. If you're an individual, I can see that may not be in your budget. But $10 a day for a Facebook ad to promote your service can take your service to the next level. When you're not told this, you don't know this, or when you don't do this, then you won't know how it works. And the great thing about Facebook ads is that you could tell the ad who to show my service to. So I want to go to all African Americans, all Christian, all Episcopal or Catholic. It can give you the geographical area. I want my service to be shown to people only in Chicago and New Haven and New York. Okay, you can say I only want it to go towards men from the ages of, let's say, 30 to 55. All right, that's how specific you can send your ads to the people. What does this do? It helps save you money. You would not open up a Popeye's chicken in a vegan neighborhood, would you? You will not make any sales. So when you are trying to advertise to the whole world, then I've heard people say, I got a T-shirt company that I'm getting ready to start. And let's see, I'm not seeing this. In America, there's about 350 million people, and I got a T-shirt. So let's say if let's say maybe 50% of the people buy my t-shirt. Really, listen, if it was that easy, I'd be wealthy, extremely wealthy today. Everybody don't want your t-shirt. Number two, the competition is fierce, okay? Everybody got a chicken recipe. Everybody got a pie recipe. Everybody got a cake recipe. There's so many stores out there, okay? The competition can be fierce. So what you do is you do what's called niche or niche, okay? Your niche audience. What is your niche audience? You break it, you downsize it to a particular group of people. There's somebody out there who want your service. No matter what you're selling, no matter what you're offering, no matter what you're teaching, somebody out there wants your service. And many people have become wealthy just by offering to small niches. My friend in California, Los Angeles, Jermaine Griggs, if you can Google his name later on. He's on Facebook as well. Jermaine Griggs, it was a young man by the age of 20. He was a multimillionaire. You're like, okay, what did he do? Was he in stocks, bonds, exchange? Was he in annuities? No, he was in none of that. He was teaching people how to play the piano. And he became a multimillionaire. Like, how? Because he knew how to work his niche. And who was his niche? His niche wasn't teaching people how to play the piano. His niche was teaching people how to play gospel on piano. So what did that do? I got a class that I'm teaching piano. Well, there's millions of people out there who want to play piano, but there's also millions of other instructors out there. But how many out there now wants to play classical or jazz or gospel? What does that do? That breaks down the niche. So now you've got another few people who wants to learn gospel piano, all right? Well, that's white, Asian, black. Okay, let's break it down to a further niche. African Americans. Let's break it down to a further niche from the ages of 12 to 20. You see what I'm saying? It's going so for every ad that you put up there, every time you break the niche down, you're saving this $10. Because if you just put $10 on a just a ad, that $10 is gone like that, and you are trying to expose your business to people who are not interested. So you are a Christian organization trying to sell to a whole bunch of atheists out there, thinking they're going to run to your product. They're not going to run to your product. You understand? So you got to break down the niche. So this man, he became a millionaire by offering piano lessons to people who want to learn how to play gospel. And who were his clients? Mothers who had children who wanted their children to learn, or churches who didn't have musicians. So the churches were sending their students to Jermaine. Now, were they physically going to Jermaine? No, Jermaine never left the house, and nobody came to his house. How was he selling the product? He had a camera. He had a cell phone, all right? And he put the cell phone or the camera in front of the piano, and he sat there and taught the piano, and then he uploaded it online, all right? And then you go on his website and you download his classes. Millionaire, like that, okay? So we got to know how it works. People that you see on Facebook a lot of times you see them and they are trending, they are popular, and everybody know them. All these y'all chasing after likes, but if you are that popular on social media and you're not making any money, then your popularity really is not doing you any good whatsoever. If I get a post that you got like typical from me, it's not that easy because I'm controversial, which causes my post to get a lot of, traffic. I get a lot of traffic because I'm controversial, but I'm controversial on purpose because I want the people to think and I want them to come over. Why? I have some products that I'm getting ready to unload on you. I have 2 books out and some teaching classes on and on and on, okay? So you got to know how to work your niche, and that there are ways to do that, okay? So now that's Facebook. Not just Facebook, but ads work with not just Facebook, ad works with Instagram, ads work with YouTube, ads work with LinkedIn. Ads, all right? Ads. And they are not expensive. Again, run an ad automatically from $5 to $10 a day and watch how your church services get viewed by more people, all right? Now, that's the first thing to do. The second thing you need to do is you who are pastors out there, elders, evangelists, or you administrative assistants out there, you're at home and you just trying to figure out what to do. You came home from work, what have you. What you need to be doing are daily or twice a week, maybe 3 times a week. You need to be doing some 5-minute or 10-minute talks on your channels. You need to do some teachings on your channels, okay? Don't just do your church service and on Sunday morning and then you're done for the week. Don't do it. Why? Because they have already forgotten about you come Monday. Back in the day, it wasn't that way. Everybody was getting attention. But now that we have millions of people on social media, soon as they turn your service off, you have been forgotten. So what do? You've got to keep it going through the week. So pastor or whoever you are, who you trust as a teacher who represents your church, sit in your office, get your team together, and you can shoot several talking points in one setting. When you see these TV shows, morning TV shows, Ellen or even Family Feud or all these other shows, they don't air live every day. They shoot seasons in 1 week. You understand? 1 week, they'll shoot almost a whole season, and they're done. And then you see them somewhere around town. You're like, how is he over here around town? But his show is airing right now because he shot that season already. He's done. What's his name? Family Feud. What's his name? Steve Harvey was doing Family Feud. He was doing the morning show in Chicago. He was doing that little kid show on TV. What was it called? Is it the Kids Say the Darndest Thing or something? He was doing something like that. He was doing another, he was traveling with his books. He was doing something else on TV. I can't remember what it was. Okay. What's it called? Steve Harvey Show? Exactly. He was doing all of that. I mean, he was a big name, but how did he have time to do all that every day? He wasn't doing it every day. He was shooting seasons at a time. So pastors, what you do is you find a series of sermons to do, and then have your team or yourself shoot those series of sermons over a day or 2, and then you can have all these social medias to upload on its own automatically, all right? And you can have them premiering so that the people think they're live, but they're not. So a lot of times when I'll shoot a show, and I'm done for the day, and I'll upload it on YouTube, and I'll tell it, air 7 o'clock tonight, and premiere it, okay? And then I'm somewhere having tea and crumpets, and then cling, the notification come on, and it says, Sir Walter Jones is on the air. And then I'm talking as if I'm live, but no, I'm sitting in a restaurant having dinner. And the people are responding and commenting and blah, 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 all right? They don't know it's not live. And that's how you do it. You turn on the TBN, the Word Network, the church channel, and all these things. Those shows are not live. Those services are pre-recorded. So you do that to bring momentum and to bring awareness and remembrance, meaning your church service is over. Now it's Wednesday. They got to wait till Sunday now to see you again? No, you do another teaching, but it's just you, more of an intimate setting without the music. It's just you talking. People want to hear you talk. Let me help you out, pastors, many of you in ministry. I'm going to teach you something that you probably don't know. Praise and worship is good on Sunday mornings. We're typically used to that. That's fine. But when it comes to your your talking points at home, or maybe you're in the office or what have you, don't use music. Don't put a song on at the beginning and then put in the top there, I don't own this copyright, but all of that do not work. If it was that easy, then we can use anybody's music by saying, I do not own the copyright. It don't work. I've written over a couple thousand songs. Trust me, it don't work. YouTube and Facebook will still shut you down. The only reason why you've been getting away with it is because they haven't come after you yet. Or you've been using a song that is not, that's not being, what they got a word for it. It's not being chased after. If you put like a Michael Jackson song up, a Prince song, or something like that, they will snatch it down right away. Okay, but if you put up a praise and worship song, they don't go after that as hard, okay, because of the saturation of the song. But you're still doing an illegal thing. You really are. I don't care what you put in the copyright, it doesn't work. So here's the thing. Podcast is number one today. Podcast, number one. And if you're not doing podcasts, you are missing out on a big, big, big thing. Everybody's doing podcasts, and here's the thing. The average person will listen to a podcast between 30 minutes and a whole hour. Undivided attention. They'll sit there and listen. Why? They're driving. They're cooking. They're walking. They're jogging. They're listening to you. My talk shows are very popular because people want to hear information. And the biggest seller on the internet is information. Biggest seller. So when you start your show off, we call it a show, but we use that a lot because that's just the industry. So don't get offended, churches, if we say show, okay? Well, so when you do your talking points and you start playing the music, the people are going to say, click. I didn't come here for music. I came here to hear the word. I came here to hear information. So you're killing yourself when you're playing music at the beginning and then you start singing. Only I could get away with that. I sing at the beginning of my shows because I'm waiting for the people to come in. People think I'm singing because I like to sing. No, I sing so to give the people the technology an opportunity to send out notifications. That's my secret now. I've been exposed, all right? So when you hear me singing at the beginning, I only sing for about 30 seconds. And it's sending out notifications. And then when I see the people have come in, I stop singing and I go right into my opening, okay? That's how it works. Podcasts, a person can listen to a podcast for 2 hours and it'll feel like it's only a few minutes. That's why my podcasts were so popular. So if you look on my podcast show, 100,000 people downloaded the shows. Why? They just listen to a man talk. And so when people don't do it, they think, ain't nobody interested in my talking. They are interested in your talking. Podcast is more popular than putting up a YouTube video because on YouTube, you got to do a song and dance and twist and turn and tumble and all this stuff for people to watch it. Why? Because there are other, on YouTube, there are other videos on the right-hand side that you're looking at. Say, ooh, I want that dress. As soon as you hit that, you're gone. They walked away from your show, just like that. Podcasts, there are no interruptions. It's just you and them. You understand? So if you want your church to grow, consider podcasts, but also consider doing your talking points on Facebook once or twice a week in the middle of the week. Now, YouTube channels, you need to set up a YouTube channel for your church, Ebenezer, or whatever your church is. Set up a YouTube channel, and you can do your services, but you need to do weekly talking points on YouTube. So your churches who are struggling out there because people are not watching your services is because they don't just want your service. They want information. You understand? They want information. So you've got to do weekly talking points, teach the word. Not for half hour, not for 45 minutes. Give them a 7-minute, 10-minute word. Make it hot. Go right into it. Talk to them like they're in the room and shut it down. Shut it down. That's all they want. and put up your Cash App, your donation information, and watch. Ask me how I know. All right? Now, we don't have time to go through that, but I want to show you this because that's important, because that's where the people are. The new highway and byway, yes, it's in the streets, but the new highway and byway is here because the people are at home. 2020, the shutdown happened, the people weren't in the street. So where was the highway and the byway? It was at home. How am I going to reach them? You have to reach them through social media. So many churches out there began to, their offerings went up and up and up. I actually made more during the shutdown than I did in the whole year of 2018 and 19 combined. I made more money in 2020 sitting in my office talking in that phone of mine. I mean, it was ridiculous. And I talked, and I just put my Cash App up there, and ching, 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 ching. Why? People are at home. They're bored. They're scared. They were frightened. And many of the churches frightened them with COVID. Me and Bishop and I talked last night about that. The churches actually did a worse thing by frightening the people about what was going on. All right, so now the churches are back open, and many of the saints are not coming back to church. They're still members, many of them, but they're not coming back into the physical church. So you got to continue your Zoom services, your Facebook services, but you got to give them information throughout the week, all right? So that's what that's all about. I want to spend time on that because it's important. Since I'm here and most of you are a part of churches, you need to know, all right? So if you're in the audience, you got any questions, maybe we should have a mic out there for someone who have a question for the video purpose, because I know you will not, those of you who are watching won't be able to hear the audience because we're tied directly into the video system, all right? That's what that's all about. I could go another 2 hours with that, but I won't. All right. Okay, so let's talk about currency because this is one of the purposes why I am here. Okay, if somebody can turn to Matthew 25 and 14, Matthew 25 and 14, and when you get it, I need somebody to read it for me. You can grab my mic if you have it, because there's a word, well, he's got a mic there over there. There's a word that's in that story, that parable that Jesus told, that's important, okay? All right. My dear brother Charlie Milam has got the mic. He's going to read 25 and 14. Just read that whole story about the talents.
For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
And unto one he gave 5 talents.
Unto one he gave 5 talents. Okay, this is money, y'all. Okay, go forward.
To another 2,
Mm-hmm.
and to another 1.
Okay, continue.
To every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey.
Okay, he gave the money to these 3 individuals according to their separate ability. He knew what they could do with it. If you have 5 sons, you may not give all 5 sons the same inheritance. One son you just know is going to bury that money, or he's going to do some riotous living with it, so you may not give it to him, or you may give him something, but you won't give him the same as you give the other sons. You give it to this son because you know that he's going to take the estate to another level. That's what this man did. Continue.
Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same.
Stop. There's a word there. He did what with it?
He traded.
He traded it. He traded it. As a matter of fact, keep going. He traded it.
And made them other 5 talents.
He made more money after trading the talents. Continue.
And likewise, he that had received 2,
Yes.
he also gained other 2.
By trading it. Uh-huh.
But he that had received one
Yes.
went and digged in the earth
Yes.
and hid his Lord's money.
Okay, I'm done. All right. Two of the guys, they traded it. The stock market is nothing new. We call it the stock market, but back then it was stock, it's called livestock. Today we have more tangible assets, okay, and stocks, what have you. But I wanted to bring up the aspect of money versus currency, okay? Currency versus money. Let's see. In my pocket, I think I have some money here. If not, I'm going to see if Bishop could lend me $200 real quick and see if he can pass me a $200 bill. I'm going to put that there. Okay? Currency. What is currency? Well, we get them mixed up. We will call this dollar currency, or we call this dollar money. We use it interchangeable, but it's not. Okay? Currency is portable. Well, so is a dollar. All right? It's durable. So is a dollar. It's divisible, which means if I ask Milam to give me change for this dollar, he'll give me change. That means divisible. You can divide it. All right? Number 4, it's fungible, which means it's interchangeable. A dollar in my pocket is worth a dollar in your pocket. That's what fungible means, interchangeable, okay? That's what currency is. Money, though, is what God put on this earth. Gold, silver, precious metals. What was that, 1 Corinthians, what was that, around 3 or somewhere, where he talked about your works being burnt up, and he's going to put it up against gold. You understand? All this hard resources. And then he talked about paper, and all this stuff. Okay? Well, that's money. So God put money in the ground. What man did, he took a tree and created currency. So there's a difference between the two. Now, gold is portable. It is durable. Can you make change with gold, though? And does it worth the same thing in your pocket as it is mine? Well, that's going to take a part too. Okay? So that's the thing, that's the difference between the two, currency and money. Now, this is called fiat. Fiat. Okay? That is money or currency that is regulated by the government. In God we trust. Now, the problem with fiat is that no nation in history has ever survived because of fiat. Rome and, the Byzantine Empire and all these other empires, when they started making fiat, they didn't survive. Right? Now, I'm gonna show you a magic trick in church. Let me show you a magic trick, okay? This is worth $1. Now watch this. I know you've never seen this before, and it hurts when I do this. I'll never do this with a 20. Okay? Now I just ripped $1, okay? Charlie Marlin, if I gave you this $1, is it worth anything? Can you take this to the store? Can't. Not even worth 50 cents. What about this side of the dollar? Is it? Not worth anything, is it? No. But if I asked you for some Scotch tape, and I taped that $1 up real nice, can you now use this $1? You can, can't you? Sure can. That's currency. That's how fake it is. It's a magic dollar. How could something be worth something, and then when you rip it, it's not worth anything, or you destroy it, and then you glue it back together, and now it's worth something? That's why nations fail, because it's a magic dollar. What is it based off of? This fiat dollar is based off of the promise that it's worth something. Not like gold, at silver where you can trade it all over the world is people have died over gold and silver. You understand? Nations have been destroyed because of it, because it lasts forever. You can't destroy gold. But this, your government can say that this dollar now is worth $5. Magic. If you go in the restroom, depending on the economy, the Federal Reserve could say this Charmin toilet paper is now worth $50 per sheet. That's how weak currency is, and that's how dangerous it is, and this is why things like Bitcoin came on the scene. Ethereum and the Dogecoin and all these coins. That's why it came on the scene. It's not new, it's old technology. We think it's new. All right? So that's what's going on. I want to show you that because I need you to see the importance, or I need you to see what's getting ready to happen down the road, the progression. And a lot of this has to do with end time. All right? Fiat has a lot to do with the end times. I don't have enough time for that, okay? Because it's the end of the time. Okay. Now, the stock market, I'm going to show you something here. Most people are afraid of the stock market. African Americans, you are absolutely afraid. Yet, the stock market is the safest thing that you can put your money in. Safest. Why you don't know that? Because somebody misled you. Now, Bishop, you're going to get some tape later on to put that in the offering, okay? Yeah, because somebody misled you. Here's the thing. The stock market, you get let's say if it's a 3% annual return, okay, what I want to go? A 3% annual return on $100,000. I'm going to use $100,000, okay? Now, I know the average person don't have that, but I'm using that number because there's some people out there who do have that. A 3% annual return, this is what the stock market would do. The lowest that I say it would do a year, okay? I'll give you some more numbers in a minute. An annual return of $100,000 turns that into $180,000. That's what the stock market does. Annual return, okay? Then sometimes what the stock market would do will give you an 8% return on your money every year, annual return, okay? At $100,000, that's $460,000. And then I've seen the stock market do 10%, okay? At all this, what do we get? $670K. Okay? This is how the wealthy stay wealthy, continue to stay wealthy. Why? Because they're in it for the long haul. What you were taught about the stock market is day trading. You go in there, buy some stock, and then you see it rise, and then you buy and you sell. You just every day you're doing this. No, the rich don't do that. They put their money in there and walk away. You know why? Because they know that the stock market is going to do this, up and down over 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Keep your money in there. So with a $100,000 investment will turn into $1 million over several years. Now, you're like, well, I got my money in the bank, and my bank is giving me interest every year. You know how much your bank gives you interest? Huh? Point. That's your bank. Okay? Now, I've seen as high as 0.0, maybe 11. Okay? That's your bank. Okay? But that is not typical. Now, what happens here is This is 3%. This is 0.0. All right? This is going on for the rest of your life. This fluctuates. As a matter of fact, I think if you look on Google right now, under high-yielding bank accounts, you might see 0.50%. Okay? Do a Google search, Charlie Milam. Let me know the high-yielding online bank right now. Okay? The high-yielding online bank. So your bank right now, Chase, Bank of America, Citicorp, Citibank, and all this stuff here, okay, they are paying you pennies to keep your money and giving you the sense that you're making money every year when you get that little notification on this right here. When if you had that money in the market, your return will be much higher. Put it in and leave it alone. This is why the African American community, they're not informed because they don't know this portion. Even though there are thousands of YouTube videos out there trying to show it to you, we are afraid because we didn't learn it. You got it, Milam? You're looking for it, huh? Just type in high-yielding bank accounts. Okay? Now, that's what the market is. Now, am I suggesting everybody go into the market? Not necessarily. You don't have to be in the market. That's up to you. Some people don't feel like they want to put up with that. That's cool. You don't have to, but I'm letting you know, stop being afraid of the market. Number 2, stop listening to the news. Stop listening to the news when it comes to the market. You got it? What does it say? Use your mic. Use your mic.
0.5.
What?
0.5.
There you go. What'd I tell you? So, why is it that the online banks pay more? Because they're online. They don't have an overhead. They don't have a whole bunch of employees. They don't have a physical bank. So if they have a physical bank, that means what? Rent, utilities, employees, taxes, all this stuff, okay? The online banks can afford to pay you more interest on your money because it's all online, right? That's what's going on there, okay? So the stock market, you say, well, I don't want to go into the stock market, okay? No problem, but you're in it. Go to your house, walk around, look at the stuff that you own. You're in the market. You are helping the market. You got cell phones. You're in the market. You got clothes. You're in the market. You got a stove and a refrigerator. You're a part of the market. It just ain't benefiting you. You are consumers, but you're not producers. So, you say your question is, what should I invest in the market? What's in your house? You trust that phone enough to buy it, and you spent $1,000 or more for it. Whether you bought it over time with your phone company or you just bought it right out, you trusted it enough to buy it. But why you don't have stocks in it? They're standing in line when Nike released a new line of gym shoes. They wrapped around the block. And I can guarantee you, over 95% of those people standing in line don't own not one piece of Nike stock. Why? Because they are consumers. We were born and raised to be consumers. The average person who wins the lottery, if it's a few $1 million, it's gone before the year is out. Sometimes 30, 60 days, it's gone. NFL players who had these multi-million-dollar contracts, once their contract is over, that money is dried up, gone. Why? Because we were taught to be consumers. You'll always say, man, when I'm going to make enough money so I can buy stuff. I'm going to get that job so I can buy stuff. Why don't you ever say, I'm going to make this money, get this employment so that I could invest or save or put away for my children's children? That's how the wealthy stay wealthy, and we're struggling. So when this COVID came and shut the government down, the average African American, what were we doing? We were waiting on that stimulus check because we were underwater. We were waiting on it. I was not. I didn't care about that stimulus check. Whether it was going to come or not, I didn't care because my father taught me to be a producer. So in the 70s, he started to buy real estate. We hated that property, but we didn't understand. African Americans in the old day became wealthy through real estate. So when you look at, I went down there to Atlanta, Georgia on Auburn Street where Martin Luther King house was, his father's house where he was born and raised. All through that one stretch of Auburn Avenue were houses. And those houses were built by African Americans. And the ranger, he was a white ranger, he was walking around giving us the tour, and he was like, these people were well off. These were your brothers and sisters, and you people were well off here. So when you watch these old 1950s civil rights things, you think that these are poor people. Oh no, a lot of them were not poor. They had real estate, and they paid money for their churches. They erected their churches, and they owned it. They didn't have to go down there to the bank for mortgages. That's the way it was. So my father, come from that generation, he started buying real estate on the west side of Chicago. And the west side was just becoming dilapidated. The white folks left, and the neighborhood was in shambles, and they were leveling the houses when they were abandoned. My father held on to it. He held on to it. He shipped away here. He did a repair here. He did a repair there. He held on to it. This was in the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. The neighborhood was just falling. Then we started seeing white folks move in the neighborhood. You already know where I'm going. White folks moved in. Why? They were tired of traveling from the suburbs to go downtown to work. So they said, no, we're moving back. And we're going to buy these dilapidated buildings. These buildings that y'all abandoned, we're buying them. And they went and started buying up that property and started making them condos. So that piece of property that my father have now, especially now, it is a seller's market right now, is worth way over $1 million. When they kept telling them, get rid of it. We tired of it. We tired of them breaking in. We tired of the paint chipping, blah, blah, blah. It's worth big money now. And the white folks are begging him for it. Why? Producer, all right? So you don't have to go into the stock market, nor do you have to buy real estate. But what you can buy is what's called REITs. That's real estate too. But REITs is real estate investment. So you don't have to go and buy property. You can go on and into the market and buy REITs. That's a bunch of us buying into real estate. All right? So you can Google that, research that tonight. Okay? All right? So you got stocks, you got bonds, you got REITs, which is real estate. Okay? All right? And then, of course, you got cash. This is what makes the world go round. This right here this is how people survive. Right here. If you study that, you'll never be broke again. Never. If you enter into the stock market is 3%, 7%, 10% every year. You got money there, walk away. Leave it alone. Who cares if the stock market crash? Who cares if we're going to a recession? Who cares if we go to depression? Who cares? I'm going to say this secret to y'all. I hope nobody get offended who's watching this show. Follow the Caucasian money. When they run to something, follow them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Follow them. If they staying in the market and they ain't crying about it, follow them. The market. You can't lose. Even when you lose, you can't lose. Because you say, I just put $10,000 in there and I lost $3,000. So what? Don't pull that money. is coming back with fierce underbetting. You understand? The 2020 came, COVID came, and the stock market went crash, and people did a run on the bank, okay, renting in their brokerage account, started pulling that money out. The next day, and people who would have made millions lost it all. Stay in the market. Don't go nowhere. So the stock market is an ownership. Now you own Apple. You own IBM. All this stuff in your house, you own it. That's what stock is. You have an ownership in the company. Bonds, when you buy bonds, the government is selling you bonds. So you are buying the bonds that is worth something, and it will mature over time. Bonds are not as risky as stocks because bond is a bond. No matter what the market is doing, the bond is going to mature, okay? Bonds are great. And then, of course, there's cash. That's money markets, right? That's a whole nother ball game there. Money market is better than your local bank account, all right? So what should you say? So, all right, well, how much money should I have in this? Well, there's two guys who, one guy tells you to put 50% in stocks and then 50% in bonds. That's not a one-size-fits-all. That's just something that he used, which is working great for a lot of people, bonds. But a guy from Yale University said, no, that's not aggressive enough. I think I took a picture of him. Let's see. Where is it? I took a picture of what he said. What is his name? Let's see. I'm going to get it here. Oh, David Swenson is his name. Now, he's from Yale University. He said put 30% in stocks. Then he said, let me do this. Then he said put another 15% in what's called international stock. Then he said put another 15% in REITs, as real estate. Then he said put another 15% here in treasury bonds. U.S. treasury bonds, okay? And it worked. It's aggressive, but it works. 15% international. Don't just buy United States stocks, international stocks, and United States stocks. 15% international, 30% United States, 15% bonds, 15% REITs, and you're going to do all right. That's called a balanced, diversified portfolio. You understand? So you say, somebody just willed me $10,000. What do I do with it? Do this with it. Diversify. Never put your money in one bucket. You already know that. But we do that. You go to when the checks came, the government checks came, Walmart was overtaken by people standing in line to buy a big screen TV that cost $600. They were standing in line out the door when they got that check. I was like, you know what? This is my people. I just wish. But if I had 10 grand, that's what I would do. Right there. Any questions? Any questions? Sure. He asked the question, how does bonds make their money? Well, there are different types of bonds. There are government bonds. There are, your city have what's called a municipal bond. And there was the government called U.S. Treasury bonds. Okay, all these bonds are made, but you pay taxes, don't you? Mm-hmm. And the government is also investing as well. All right, and they are China, Japan, all these other places, they are also buying into the government economy. Okay, what you call it? Export, import, stuff like that. So the governments, the international governments, are buying into us. So that money is going into the system, and a lot of that is being processed through the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve came around in the early 1900s, and whenever something happens in the economy, whether there's a deficit, not a deficit, but more so of a recession or something like that, the Federal Reserve, it's called the Federal Reserve Bank, it's not federal, nor is it a reserve, nor is it a bank. You can't go to the Federal Reserve. First of all, it's not federal. It's not a reserve because there's no money in it. It's not a bank because you can't make a withdrawal or deposit. So what is it? It's a Ponzi scheme. It's a Ponzi scheme. Because if the government needs money, what does the Federal Reserve do? It don't give you a physical bank. It goes into the computer and it types in numbers. Here is for you. So something from nothing will lead to what? Eventually. Disaster. Remember I talked about fiat money earlier? And no nation survived through fiat? The United States will be that nation one day. Our economy is going to be the death of us. I don't know what's going to happen, whether we're going to have to pull on the strings of Canada or European, but that money is not going to last. We're going to have another money system eventually. That will not last. It's either going to be the euro, it's going to be some kind of, we're going to have to tie in with someone to survive. We're not going to survive. All right? We're the trillions of dollars that we have in our deficit, we can't. So what happens? How do they fix it? They keep printing magic money. That's why I said, remember earlier I said currency versus what? What was the other one? Currency, money. Money, that's gold, that's silver, that's in the ground. You understand? And the United States don't like gold because they can't really regulate it. They can regulate this. They can call this whatever they want to, and you'll take it because it's worth what they said it. Matter of fact, I think it's called a legal tender, and it's based off of the promise that it's worth something. So we are an international entity. So that's how they make their money. So they're able to offer you these treasuries and these bonds or what have you because the money's coming from all over the place. But what happens is, though, the other governments around the world look at our monies and how it's being devalued. They're like, no, we gotta pull it back. So what happened? In 1972, prior to 1972, you can walk into a bank and get gold with just this dollar. It was called the gold standard. You walk in the bank, exchange the gold for $1, and vice versa. Richard Nixon stopped that. Why? All of the gold in the world was stored here in the United States. Down there at that jail, that prison, Fort Knox, I believe it is. All the world's gold was here. And the world kept looking at us because they decided the United States dollar is the world's currency. And then we started fighting these wars, and then we started having these issues with spending and their energy issues and all this stuff, and the money was being devalued, and the nations were like, oh no, go get your gold. So the nations were physically coming over here and pulling their gold out, and it scared us. And Richard Nixon said, that's it. He says, I had told the Federal Reserve now to remove the dollar from the gold, the standard, remove it. Because if we don't do it, they're going to bankrupt us. So they removed it from the dollar. So now the dollar is not worth gold anymore. It's worth a promise. Do you trust the United States promise? If you do, well, I've got some oil in my car I want to sell you. It's used oil, but I want to sell it to you. I'll give it to you for a few dollars. Okay? Can't trust the promise. The only person we should trust is God. And the dollar said, in God we trust. That is the biggest lie on that dollar. You understand? All right? So that's what's happening. Okay? It would take a whole week. Yes, give her the mic.
I have a couple of questions, and just to clarify to me what you were saying, REITs,
Mhm.
that's a real estate investment.
Yes.
Bonds is more or less money we put into something and make money off of our interest
Over time. Absolutely.
over time.
Yes.
Cash basically is cash, and the government makes money off of it because of taxes.
Yes. And the government makes money off of the cash.
Off of the cash.
The banks make money off of the cash.
Bank.
So when you put $100 in your checking account, you don't have $100 in there anymore. The bank take 90% of that money out. They give you an IOU. So that's why when you go to the ATM, it still say $100, but it's not really $100. How was he able to get a mortgage? He got a mortgage from your money. He got a business loan from your $100. You understand? So they're making money off of your deposits. Okay?
Stocks,
Mhm.
is that investments or producers to where you buy into their stock?
Absolutely. I have a business, and I go public on the stock market exchange. Now I'm offering you stock in my business. So once you buy stock in my business, now you are considered a stockholder.
Correct. So, where do you recommend you put your stock or money into? S&P,
Great question.
NASDAQ. And
That's
I'm
good.
done with
That's a great question. I suggest you put your money in what's called an index fund. Index fund. Do you work a 9 to 5? You used to? Do you have a 401k? You do? You're in the market. Your money go up and go down. You're in what's called mutual fund. You're paying taxes on it too. They're hitting you with fees. A lot of people don't know that, all right? So your 401k, you're in the market. So you put your money in an index fund, and which one? Well, you mentioned it. The S&P 500. Absolutely. That's this. Okay? That's what this is. So if somebody gave me $50,000, they willed me $50,000, a consumer would say, I'm going to buy a car. Now, to buy a car is actually, who is that? Warren Buffett says to buy a car is ridiculous. It is the worst investment you can do is buy a car. You're like, wait a minute, but it makes a lot of sense not to buy a car, because why would you buy an asset? You think it's an asset. You buy something that as soon as you buy it, it goes, it depreciates like that. As soon as you drive it off the lot. So when you try to return it, you're not going to get the 50 back. They're going to sell it to you for 30, maybe 20. Wait, I just bought it yesterday. Sorry. You understand? So buying a car makes no business sense. And wealthy people who could buy 1,000 cars will tell you, I ain't gonna buy that. It makes no business sense. It's because their mentality is up here. Their mentality. You may say, well, they can afford. It's not about what's affordable. It's what's mental. It's psychological. Belinda, she's in that field. Yeah. It's psychological. It makes no sense. That's why they stay wealthy. You understand? So if you want to invest into anything, you invest in the S&P 500, which are the 500 companies, the most popular companies in the market. That's why they call it the 500. So if I got 50 grand and I put it into the stock, into the S&P 500, Now I own 500 companies. So what if it's only $1 over here and only 50 cents over here? My money is stretched out. And remember that 3% I put up there, the market doing what have you? The S&P does this. It does this. And I ride that way. One year or 1 month is 3%, but the next day it could be 15%. The next day. S&P 500. My money is doing this up until retirement, and you will never lose. That's the thing about the stock market and the S&P and mutual funds. I'm sorry, index funds. You will never lose, only if you're in there for retirement. Yes, sir. You about to say something? Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So that's a great question. All right. Great question. Yes. Uh-huh.
So, if you have never invested in the stock market, how would you suggest getting started?
Do your homework, first of all. You do your homework. Watch as many of the free YouTube videos out there on how to get started, number one. But never go into the market if you can't afford to lose. Understand? If you cannot afford to lose, don't go in there. If you're working check to check and your expenses are high, pay off your debt first before you jump in there. You need to pay off your debt. I can't stress that. Cannot stress that. I have several credit cards, okay? I have several credit cards, and they have different, numbers all over the place. I make sure every month that I pay those credit cards on time. I make sure. And if I buy something for $500-600, maybe $1,000 that I need, okay, I make sure before that month is out, I'm going to find that money and put that money back on that card. Now, if I can't afford to put all that money back on that card, I try and put as much as pay the card down to 20% utilization. Because if y'all are serious about your credit reports, then that's what you need to consider. If you need to pay your credit, if you want to pay your credit cards down, pay it down to 20% utilization. So if your card is $100, how much should you pay it down to? If it's $100. So you need to put how much back on the card. You need to put that back, and then your credit report won't be affected, all right? Because utilization is huge, all right? So pay off your debt before you jump in here. Now, let's say I paid off my debt. I'm good. I've got some money, all right? Now, that's where I would go, S&P 500.
So, for those in the audience that may not know, so there's different, some people do Robinhood, some people do Webull. What would you, like for me personally, Fidelity, what would be the best? So if you want to put, because S&P is hard to get into unless you know what you're doing. And some of them you can't touch because we're not actually stockbroker.
Sure. Yeah, Vanguard, Fidelity, Robinhood, all this. I like Fidelity. I'm also a fan of Fidelity. Asking me which is the best is like asking me which car is the best. It depends on what the car is going to do for you. Or it's like asking me which bank is the best. It depends on what that bank is going to do for you. If you want to buy into the index funds or what have you, I find that Fidelity is better suited for me for index funds. If you're not in index funds, you just want to do another type of investment in stock, then Vanguard might be for you. You know, if you want to go to Bitcoins, then Robinhood may be for you. You understand what I'm saying? So one is not better than the other. It's just which one suits my prospectus, meaning my investment needs. So that's a good question. A lot of people are doing the Robinhood app, and they're doing pretty good on it too. They're making a killing on it, right? But that depends on a lot of my friends. I'm really not into index fund. They're just into your typical stock or Bitcoin. You know, so they're not really into the whole. I mean, Fidelity can do all that, but I like it because of its index funds, right? I'm into for retirement. I'm in the market for retirement. That's it. I'm not trying to do day trading. I'm not trying to make money here and there. No, I put my money in there and I leave it because I have children. I have grandchildren. And when I turn 70, I want to say, here, You know what I'm saying? Here. I didn't gamble your money. People think that the stock market is gambling. It's not gambling, it's investment. He just read it. Matthew. They invested the money and made the money back. Over time. Everybody say over time. Yes. Stop trying to go into a McDonald's, drive-through financial plan. It's not going to work for you. Over time. Okay? All right? There's a whole bunch more to that, but we that I'll be back in 5 years to see what y'all did. Okay? All right. Any questions on that? If not, we can wrap it up. Yes, sir.
So would you recommend, or which would you recommend, if we were to use a bank or a credit union?
Oh, that's good. That's a good question as well. It depends, again, on your need. The credit union, I like them better than the bank when I'm trying to buy something. Why? Because the credit union is in business to help the individual build up their personal wealth. And if you want to buy either a business or a home or a car, the name is in their title, credit union. So they will say yes first before the major banks will. Ask me how I know. Personal loans and signature loans, credit union. They say, yeah, we could do this. Now, we might hit you with some interest. But yes, it is typically better. But in Chicago, ask me how I know. They looked at that credit report and said, typically we are better. True. But in Chicago, man, we really got problems there. We have financial issues there in Chicago. And it being a financial headquarter in a sense. New York is the financial headquarters. Chicago's number 2. Our income tax is what? Like 11% or so? Huh? Our income tax, our state, it's ridiculous. Now, on a piece of bubble gum, that's not no problem. But if you want to buy a car or a house, you can forget it. That's why people cross the line and go over to Indiana to buy bigger, larger items. Yeah, because it's so low. Or they'll drive all the way to Atlanta, Georgia to buy a big item. Several of my friends went to Atlanta just to buy a car because they knew they were going to get hit with that Cook County tax. Yes. Yeah. True. Use that mic.
The taxes will change based upon the county that you're in.
That's true.
For example, city of Chicago, when you move into a house, they actually have a move-in tax.
Yes.
That they tax you. Along with the vehicles, there's another luxury tax. So no matter what other city when you go to plate your vehicle in the city of Chicago, they tack on other taxes based upon the city itself.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. Some of my suburban friends, their property tax is ridiculous high, and the suburb right next to them is very low. It is. It does depend on where you live. Now, as far as the stock is concerned, you could make dividends some companies pay you every quarterly, some pay you every year, right? So that's another good reason to be into the stock market is you buy some Apple stock, and you may want to buy it only because you want monthly dividend payments. And people have lived off of their dividend payments of these companies because Apple's not going to die. Yes, they will one day, maybe, we don't know. But Apple, in a sense, won't die. The new startup company, who they're rising and they doing all right, boy, all of a sudden they brand new, but they making all this money, they got all this stock and what have you. You get excited about them. I don't get excited about them because they don't have a history yet. You understand? Bitcoin was $60,000 for one coin. Charlie Minor, what is it today? To prove my point. You lost half. You understand what I'm saying? You lost it. Does that mean it's going to go back up? It could. The government hate Bitcoin. They hate it. They can't regulate it. It's decentralized, what they call it. They hate it. People have made millions. Others have lost their shirt. Apple, and the dividend checks come in every month faithfully. Yes.
Apple's 132.
Apple will go down. Apple going to go up. Amazon, same thing. Those are called blue chip stocks. If you can afford it, get in. Because if you want it for dividend purposes, you can live off of it for the rest of your life. Tesla, yeah, for the rest of your life. There's people who living off of blue chip stocks for the rest of their life. They don't have to work another day in their life. They just go to the Bahamas, every weekend. They're fine. You understand? You can get to that point. But if you're early, if you're new, no, I would suggest you just put your money in S&P. Typical, people are going to try to sell you insurance. They're going to try to sell you whole life insurance, okay? Term, what have you. Never, ever combine your insurance with your investment. Never, ever. If your insurance company call you and says, we're going to offer you this insurance policy with whole life, tell them no. Immediately. Now, I just messed up some of y'all's business out there, you insurance agencies. I'm sorry. Tell them no. I was getting ready to sell insurance. I went and I passed the license, the test for the license to get it, and then something says, don't sell it. That's not your product. Don't. As I was getting ready to get my license to pay for it, I heard the Spirit say, don't do it. You don't want this. You're not going to like this. And I walked away. All that time I spent in school and class and all that stuff, I did all that to get to the door, and God says, no. Why didn't you tell me this when I was in that 10-hour class? No. I gave you that so that you can do this, so you can inform the people. Separate your money. Dave Ramsey would tell you the same thing. Susie Orman would tell you the same thing. All these ones that y'all look through, they'll tell the same thing. Separate that money. Investment is investment. Insurance is insurance. And the day is going to come where you don't even need insurance. You can cancel your insurance policy. It's only for people who need it. You don't really need it if you are financially fit. You don't need insurance. You can cut it off. If you have no children, you don't need it if you got enough to bury you. You understand? So people think that everybody needs insurance. Everybody do not need insurance. I do right now. So I pay my mortgage and my insurance in that order faithfully. And it comes out of my account automatically. You'll get your term, what have you, but make sure you keep look on your term, because once term runs out, that sucker will double if you ain't paying no attention to it. Come on, that sucker will double. You better pay attention to that, and do not buy whole life, because you better off, because all those fees, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So I have friends who put $500 into the market, and in 10 years, it's gone now, but in 10 years, they have a nice nest egg. So that's why some of my friends are retiring at my age, because they started in their 20s. Guess what color they are? I shouldn't have to say no more, should I? I shouldn't say no more, should I? Yeah. Yes, sir.
What is your impression of penny stock?
A penny stock? My impression?
Something not to mess with?
Oh, no, not necessarily. No, some people look at it as gambling as well. But no, penny stock has made many people wealthy. I wouldn't suggest you go into it if you're not knowledgeable in it. And my brother does it. If you go to his... Yeah, so I said my brother. Did she do this to you too? I'm in the middle of saying it. Go to Stock Up on YouTube. Stock Up. Larry Jones, that's my brother. All right, and he teaches more on that end there, the penny stock. Okay, and he'll really educate you on that. So if again, only if you can afford to lose, day trading, penny stocks, stuff like that. Never go into the market if you can't afford to lose something. Only invest as much as you can afford to lose, if that makes sense to you. Yeah, don't do it unless you get educated on it. Absolutely. Okay. There's another one. My daughter is in Forex. That's the foreign exchange. You got Forex? Oh yeah. My daughter's killing it. She's killing it. All right. Teach it to your children. Get them in the market early. My kids are in their 20s, and so by the time they turn my age, they'll have a nice six-figure nest egg because they stayed in there. Because I'm teaching them what I'm teaching y'all. I've taught them, and then she's got her own crew. She just went to Miami for a convention, and she's getting poured into. All right, she came back and said, "Pops, pops." I'm like, "Do it, girl. These shoes right here, my daughter bought these." My daughter bought these, man. She hooked me up. Like I said, keep going, girl, keep going. Make more money than me. Do it. That's what my father told us. Hey, I want you to do better than me. Do better than me. Now I'm still trying to get there, but I'm trying to get there. All right. I think I'm done. All right. And I appreciate it. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I know that it was great to get into it a while ago, but now the numbers are changing. Do you still suggest that one invest in Bitcoin?
Yeah, a little bit. If you're going to do it, diversify though first. If you got some money in Bitcoin, you should have some money somewhere around here too. Yeah, don't just go in there. Yes, people lost half their shirt because it went from 60 to 30. Absolutely. Yes, those are the big time players. Absolutely. But it's still unknown. Nobody know what Bitcoin is going to do. So so if you're going to jump in there because you've got money that you can afford to lose. Will it go back up? I believe it will, because it's just something that people are still they almost swear by it. So they're staying in there. They're staying in there, and I believe it will get better. Now, do you know how to do Bitcoin? Yeah.
Before no.
Oh yeah, it's not that hard at all. No, it's you have to get a wallet. You can buy it for $50. It's a USB stick, pretty much what it is. And you go to I'll show you where to go to do, and you can. It's $30,000 per coin, but you can just take $5 and buy Bitcoin. Go to Coinbase. Go to Coinbase, and that's where you buy the coins. Okay. Then go online and get a hard what they call a purse, not a purse, a wallet. Get a hard wallet. All right, $60, $100, depending on what you're trying to do with it. And then when you go to Coinbase, you take that wallet and put it into your computer, and it's going to tell you how. And there's a strategic number that's only for you. That's why Bitcoin is so safe. Yeah, you got some chargers out there that's doing some stuff, but it's still relatively safe. All right, you don't want to invest in Bitcoins that's in the cloud or the software or what have you, because you just don't trust it. The difference between that is having something in the cloud opposed to having something on a hard drive. The hard drive is always safer because it's in your presence. When you want to go buy gold, you can buy gold that's stored up somewhere, or you can buy physical gold that's stored up in your house. All right, so which one is safer? Well, it depends on how. If you got gold somewhere that someone else is storing, you don't know what's happening with it. But you got gold in your house, you know what's happening with it. Well, there's pros and cons to that too, because somebody breaking your house and steal your gold. Okay, it's up to you how you want to structure it. But with Bitcoin, I would never tell you to have it just staying in Coinbase in a wallet that's a software wallet. Never. I would spend that money for the wallet, download your Bitcoin onto the wallet. It gives you a unique number for you to pull that coin in, and it's yours now. Now that is like gold in your house. You got to hide it somewhere. Put it in the safe, put it in your locked deposit box or what have you, because that Bitcoin is worth whatever the market says it's worth. Is Bitcoin new? No, it's old. Gold, it goes back thousands of years, where they had a rock in town, and that rock was worth something, and this person owned the rock, and this person wanted to buy some of the rock. The rock never moved. It's the only rock in town. And so this guy wants some part of the rock, and so he offers this guy 20% of the rock. And the whole town knows that he owns 20% and he owns 50% of that one rock. There's only one. That's Bitcoin. There's only so much mined, and that's it. So you can't manipulate it. You can't just be printing it over here like fiat money, like the Federal Reserve. That's why the Federal Reserve don't like it, because they can't print it. All right? So it's only one rock. And everybody know that rock or Bitcoin belongs to Bishop. You understand? Because you have that strategic, specific number. With that, the downfall is, well, it's still traded like anything else, and it falls. But it can rise. And many people, if you jumped in earlier, you would be a multimillionaire. But again, you didn't know that. No one knew it. Warren Buffett hates Bitcoin, but he's not God. So the people in the financial world treat him like God, but he's not God. He's been wrong on a few times. Most times he's right, but a lot of times he's wrong. All right? So great question. Ethereum is really taking off. Really taking off. And Dogecoin, yeah, Dogecoin, I think they call it. Yeah, so those three. But there's a lot of cryptocurrencies out there, lots. And this is the season for Ethereum and maybe Bitcoin, even though it dropped. This is the season for it. But who knows what tomorrow brings? Yeah, it may be the Ebenezer coin. And everybody trying to buy some Ebenezer coin. You got to drive to New Haven in order to get it. All right. I think I'm done. If you got any more questions, let me know. And we can always talk afterwards. All right. For those of you who are watching on this here, thank you for coming around. Okay. There's a lot to this stuff. And just inform yourself. Go on YouTube and Google to info. Well, anyway, if you just type in the Google on anything you need to know, it's free of charge. You don't have to really be paying people every day to get this stuff. A lot of the basics is online for free. It's right there on your phone. You got a $1,000 phone. Use it, right? And get the information. Get it as much as you can. And then you can contact a guy like me or my brother Larry Jones or others where they can put it all into perspective, one package, and say, all right, here's the package of information that you need, and then be a wise investor. Turn off MSNBC and Fox Business and all that stuff. Don't get too caught up in it. After the market, yeah, you can watch it to see what your money did, but don't get excited about that, because the reason why so many people lose their money is because they get too excited and they get nervous, and your neurotransmitters and dopamine go off, and then you just lost $5,000. Now you're scared, you're nervous, you think you're going to lose the house and all this stuff, and people start pulling their money out the market, and then the market turn around and it make you $20,000 the next day, and then you start cussing. I've seen the saints cuss, okay? All right? And so that's why we tell you, don't get caught up in the emotions of money, because it will only kill you. All right? Thank y'all. We appreciate you, and we'll see you soon. Hit the share button, if you please. If you're watching on the church Facebook wall, share this with all your friends and neighbors. Share it, share it, share it, okay? Hit the like button and share the information from this ministry. It will do you good. You understand? It will bless you. All right? We'll see you tomorrow. We'll be talking about healing, generational healing at 11:30.